You are listening to the Free the Moms podcast, this time with one of my clients. You guys have heard her on the pod before, right, Kelly?
Yeah.
Podcast? Okay. I was like, she has been on the podcast. My dear client, Kelly, is back, and we are here to talk about an offer that I offer to the world, but I realize the pod squad doesn't know about it because I have never really talked about it. So Kelly the other day was like, hey, do you want me to come on your podcast to talk about Best Life Ever Mastermind? I was like, that is such a smart idea. I can't believe we haven't done that yet. So I totally took her up on the offer. But before we chat with her, this isn't just one giant commercial for Best Life Ever. This is to teach you, this episode is to teach you how to start implementing the principles we teach inside the mastermind into your life now. And really the point of the mastermind, and I think the point of our lives, is to leave, like Kelly, you even said it this way, leave a mark on the world, leave an impression, like contribute to like offer your own special gifts, and to also not let our dreams or our goals get in the way of being obsessed with a random Tuesday in February. And I struggled with this for so long. I struggled with, how do I keep my ambition and my drive and my desire to create my dreams, but not at the expense of my day to day, not at the expense of like having time to snuggle my kids when they come down. Meanwhile, I'm writing an email, right? Like, how do I soak that up? How do I make sure that I'm doing the things that fill my cup, like going for walks with friends or date nights with my husband or massages or whatever? So that is what this mastermind answers. How do I really live out what I believe, what you believe is the point of life? Like really asking yourself that question. What do I think the point of life? What would make my 93-year-old self really, really proud? And then reverse engineering it. And for me, it's like, how do I keep that drive and ambition and also be obsessed and not let my calendar, like, excuse my language, cock block me out of my life, like ice me out of my life. Like I want to be obsessed with my calendar. I want to look at my calendar every morning and be so excited to do it, not filled with dread. So that is what we are here to talk about. How to do, whether or not, yes, we will invite you into the Best Life Ever Mastermind, but how to implement some of the tools that we use without joining. And of course, if you want to join, you can join. But again, you're going to have so many good takeaways. I hope you already have had some takeaways just with me talking, but you're going to have so many takeaways from this conversation. So welcome back, Kelly. Thank you. Give us a little intro of who you are, where you are in the world, what you do in the world, and tell us a little bit about what your life felt like before joining Best Life Ever.
Yeah. So Kelly Riley, I live in Iowa with my husband and our 2 boys and our golden retriever. And I work in content strategy, mostly for home, garden, and lifestyle brands. And Best Life Ever came at a really interesting time in my life. So I had been an editorial director at a major publisher for years and was part of a mass layoff, found another similar job a few weeks later, worked there for 6 months, got laid off again as part of a mass layoff, and really was at a place where, the career that I had worked so hard for and poured so much into over the past decade plus was gone with the way that the industry was changing through things like AI and Google algorithms, digital publishing, and the career path I thought I was going to have just kind of disappeared in front of me. And so I was really at a point where I thought, what am I going to do next? Do I want to go find another job in corporate? Do I want to pivot to another industry? Like, what am I going to do for the next, 30 some years of working when it's not what I thought it was going to be? And so this program really helped me look at what I actually wanted out of my day to day, which was honestly something I had never really stopped to think about before. I had always been on such a linear upward trajectory, taking every promotion, every opportunity that I could, and had never really stopped and thought, is this actually what I want? And is this actually what I want my day to look like? And, yes, there were a lot of things about my career that worked. I liked the type of work that I was doing. I liked, generally being in like the content and the creative and things like that. But, did I necessarily want a job where I was going to be on 13 Zoom meetings in a single day, which literally happened to me? Did I want to feel like I was clenching my jaw so tight that I had a headache by the end of the day every day? Did I want to be like on my phone at my kids' soccer games because I had an employee, in a different time zone who needed something from me at that time? And so when I got really honest with myself about what I wanted from my day to day, it actually didn't look like what I had been doing over the past couple of years. And so I was really able to think hard, for the first time ever, really, and really craft a day to day that took the parts of my career and my skills and experience that I liked and really amplify those while creating less of what I didn't like, and also opening up more space to be, kind of the primary parent in the, for example, just a digression, like my husband works downtown and he has a very like demanding in-person job. And I kind of realized I didn't want that for both of us at this season of our life. We have 7 and 10-year-old boys who are very active. They need driven a lot of places, honestly. And I just was at a point where I thought, I don't want us to both be that wrapped up in what we're doing that the kids kind of like get shorted. I have been able to create so much more of a day that I look forward to, and I actually enjoy what I do throughout the day than I ever had even given thought to.
Yeah, well, I think that you bring up so many important points, and I just can like feel the audience just nodding their head and feeling so seen, because number one, so many of us follow this like American Dream Playbook, and we're like, get this advanced degree, climb this corporate ladder. And then it's like, wait, but how does that actually make me feel? Is it giving me the things that I was promised it would give me? And oftentimes the answer is no. And we wake up one day and we're like, wait a second. And also the other point you bring up is you were able to give yourself the space and really the safety to ask yourself the question, like, what do I actually want? And I can't tell you how many times I asked that question, and you've probably seen it play out in the Yummy Mummy Masters or in Best Life Ever Mastermind, asking like, what do you want? This came up yesterday at my event called Self-Love Club. Like, there are a lot of women that haven't asked themselves that question, or they have, but they don't know the answer to it, or they're too afraid to see what they actually want, because what they want is such a 180 from what they have. And that's really confronting for a lot of us, but it doesn't have to be. And you just articulated so beautifully that like, you actually, number one, it is safe to ask yourself that question. And number two, you can take baby step after baby step after baby step to start to achieve what it is that you want. And it will be so much better than following that. Again, I call it like the American Dream Playbook, call it whatever you want. So many of us have accidentally subscribed to it. So I just love everything about that. So tell us about your day-to-day now. Like, what does it feel like now compared to what it felt like maybe a year ago or 2 years ago?
So I would say my stress level is less than 50% of what it was before. I used to wake up at 5 a.m. and I would have Slack messages waiting for me from my team in the UK who had been working for several hours. Oh. I would go work out, do a super hard workout when I was already feeling exhausted. I would come home, I was a remote employee, so I would work all day long. And then the kids would come home, and then it would be like the 5 to 9, you're 9 to 5 and you're 5 to 9. And then we're doing all the sports things or whatever. And then while that's happening, I have my West Coast employees who are still working and still sending me messages. And, I really just felt at the end of the day, like I was just crashing. There wasn't any space at all. And now I feel like I'm actually getting enough sleep to the point where I wake up and I'm like, this feels weird. Like I'm rested. What is this feeling? It's just so bizarre. I take my dog for a nice walk and I help my kids and get them off to school. And then I sit down and I do a little bit of work. And then I head off to a yoga class or something like that to just kind of break up the day, and then come back and have lunch, work a few more hours. And then the boys get home from school. We kind of have that transition time where, I'm just kind of greeting them and getting them situated for the evening. And then, we're off to whatever it is that we have going on. And I am way more able to like monotask and focus now than I used to be able to. I'm way better about like compartmentalizing my day and saying, I'm doing this from this time to this time, and then I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to go do this thing. And before it was kind of like I was trying to do all things all the time. And, I like would have like the 100 tabs open and I was never really finishing anything or focusing on anything because there was just so much happening at any given time. So now I feel like I have a lot more clarity, a lot more balance of work and movement and rest. And I just feel so much better.
So what would Kelly like 2-3 years ago say if she heard you say what you just said? Because I can hear some of the audience being like, must be nice. I talked about this a little bit in my TEDx talk.
Yeah.
Right? Like, must be nice, as if it's not possible for you. So I just want to make sure if you're listening and you're thinking, well, that does sound like a dream, but like, that's not possible for me, that you're wrong. Which might feel confronting. But I'm curious about Kelly a couple years ago. What would she think about you having the life that you do now?
I mean, I think she would have said, no way that you could make that work.
There's no way. Wait, say that again. Sorry,
there's there's no way you could make that work. Like, there's no way you could have fulfilling work life that allowed you to have the kind of personal life that you wanted also. And I think I would have thought like that just seems too like luxurious to be true, like there's just no way that would ever be possible. Like, I think I had always kind of come from this place of like, well, yeah, like it's supposed to be hard, right? Like we're supposed to grind and we're supposed to hustle all the time. And if we're not, like, then we're not living up to our potential. And I think for me, it was like a huge reframe of like, yes, I can actually live up to my potential when I am in a better space instead of just like running myself into the ground all the time.
Yeah, I totally feel that. Like I've talked about this a little bit. Maybe I should do an actual podcast on it, but I've doubled down over the last year or two around what do I like this idea of insourcing. Like, what do I like? What feels good to me? What are my desires? What does my intuition have to say? And leading from that place, like, and what's so crazy, and this is, you made me think of this with just, the amount of energy. Like, I just have so much more capacity and so much more energy. I don't feel drained because I'm not grinding and overworking and over hustling. And so it works the opposite way that you think it's going to. I think, like, if we chill out a little bit and like go to yoga, like, you actually will have more capacity. I mean, I notice it with my kids too. Like, I am not a patient mom, but I'm able to be way more patient because, I actually just take time for myself and like, figured out a way to love a random Tuesday in February or March.
Yeah, I had a friend just I think it was on a birthday card or something. It was like fairly unsolicited. She said like, "Oh, you take such good care of your people." And
Oh,
I thought, and this was in the last couple months, and I thought she would have never said that about me like 2 or 3 years ago. Like I just have this capacity to like see beyond the moment, or like the grit of like what's in front of me, and think about like, how can I make my world better? How can I make my community better? How can I make life better for the people that I care about? And I definitely don't think I was that person a couple of years ago.
yeah. I don't know if I shared this on the podcast, but I felt like that it was like 2 weeks ago maybe, and my son was homesick, and then he was throwing up, and I'm like not the throw up parent. Like I like made a deal with my husband when we got married. We have kids, like not the throw up parent, but my husband was in Austria, and meanwhile my daughter was dealing with some embarrassment, like some big emotions at school. So he was sick. She was having some big emotions. He was also having big emotions. He was having like, he didn't want to go to school because he said his friends didn't want to play with him. And so there was just a lot going on. And then it was kind of a big work week for me. We had just come off a retreat. Anyways, it was just one of those times, when like everything, like life was lifing. And I was sitting at my computer after like having a call with one of the teachers at school. And I was like, I really can handle this. And I know that sounds obnoxious and like maybe conceited, but it felt like I really could handle it. And I was like, I wonder why I can handle this, because in years past, I would not. I would have been calling my husband, like, can you come home early? Like, can you change your flight? Like, or I would have been doing something, or would have, I don't know what, freaking out, crying, whatever. Not that that's not appropriate. But my point is I just felt very calm and very capable. And I think it is because of this work that we do, which is really like, is filling our cups up. So yeah, I resonate with that too. And that is such a nice compliment. Like, what's a better compliment than you really take care of your people? It's so good. I mean, it's so cliche, but like you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Totally.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay. So what surprised you most about going through this mastermind?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the sort of like self-discovery that I had at almost 40 years old, that, I kind of thought I was set in certain ways and like this was just the way it is. And it really got me to challenge my thinking. And I think another really powerful part of the program is the other women in it too. And I think like their perspectives were so valuable too, because we were all kind of like in a different place and coming from different needs and wants and different life stages. But I was surprised by how much I learned from all of them too.
Yeah.
And just, that connection was like, it wasn't really a reason why I signed up for it, but it ended up being such a benefit and such a like a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Well, it is I think my husband's like, this word mastermind, what does that even mean? And I'm like, but I still like it because it feels like a true mastermind. It feels like maybe using isn't the right word, but we're using each other's minds to create mastery in our lives. And, I thought that was really special about the retreat. It was like everybody was helping each other. And it's like, it's like you were saying earlier, right? Like a rising tide lifts all ships. And it's like, so we're all doing this together. It's very inspiring. What were some of your takeaways or your ahas around going on the retreat? Because there is a retreat that's a part of the mastermind. So what were some of the benefits from that?
Oh, wow. So I am not like a very woo person. And not that the retreat was woo, but I got to do things I never would have done otherwise, like the sound bath experience and just like a lot of meditating and things like that, and nervous system work, things like that. And I was like, yeah, like this isn't my normal day to day here in the middle of Iowa, but like I'm absolutely going to embrace this and enjoy the process. And I think it was really important as part of this program to just have like a couple days that were really immersive. And because we're kind of chatting on Voxer all the time and we're doing calls and things like that. But like, just to say, I'm going to go and like really focus on this for a couple of days, I think was invaluable. And of course, you get to stay in like a beautiful house in the desert. And it's just very inspiring and very wonderful in that way. And I also really liked how you kind of nestled it in the middle of the program so that we kind of had like a strong foundation. We got to go on this incredible retreat together, but then we still had time to really take those, like what we had developed at the retreat and then put it into practice together and work on it. Because like you kind of can go to retreats and you come off with like this high and then life starts lifing again. You're like, well, never mind what I learned on that retreat. Like, but we still had time together to make sure like, no, you had to, like at the retreat, you said this. I'm like, and to remind myself, like, I said that's what I wanted to do. Like, why am I talking about something else now? So I think that was really
it gives you time to integrate. It's so good.
Yes.
Okay, so what would you say to somebody who feels afraid to prioritize themselves or they feel stuck? Maybe they are where you were a couple years ago. What advice would you have for them?
I think my advice, and one thing that I really took away from this was like, I'm the one that has to live my day-to-day life. And gets to live my day-to-day life, right? And maybe my path is like disappointing to someone else, or it doesn't look like what I thought other people wanted to see from me, you know? And I realized at the end of the day, though, like I have to show up for a job. I have to be the parent I want to be. And like, no, I don't have to answer to anyone else but myself for that. And I'll be unwilling to settle for anything that we're doing because we think we're supposed to, or we think this is what other people want for us from our lives. And I would also just say, like, it's not too late either. Like, you can pivot. And I also think, like, even if you think your life is going like pretty well, like, and there's always like a level up opportunity. It's not like you have to come in here like me and like overthrow everything. People in the group who set lots of like little mini goals for themselves, and they were all just like one step level ups with how they interacted with their family or in their jobs, or like someone wanted to organize her closet was like one of her mini goals, and like get that organized. And I think there's like, yes, you can have these like very seismic shifts, but you can also just figure out how to tweak things and make your day-to-day better. And that like for a long term. And I think that will like, just like, there's such a ripple effect with that.
Ooh, that's so good. That's so well said. So I was on a podcast last week and I was being interviewed and she did a lightning round at the end of the podcast. Are you up for a lightning round of just questions, like quick questions, quick answers?
Sure.
Okay, lightning round. Your calendar used to feel like, and now it feels like.
My calendar used to feel like a traffic jam. And now it feels like a nice tree-lined suburban street.
Oh, God. Are you like a writer or something?
Maybe.
Okay. One word that describes old you and one word that describes current you.
Old me, I would say, like high cortisol. It's like, that's two words, but like,
no, that's good.
High cortisol, like, and I think feel just so much more balanced.
Oh, that's so good. Okay. Something you do now that old you never would have done.
Go to yoga in the middle of the day.
Yes. A boundary you finally set.
I do not have any work email on my phone.
My God.
Nothing bad has happened.
You didn't die? So
No.
weird. You're here. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see. Favorite ordinary moment that you savor in your day to day?
I love just like sitting on the couch with my kids in the evening, watching something for like 30 minutes. We just were super into the Olympics for like 2 weeks. We realized we would watch literally anything on the Olympics, but just like that chill kind of wind down time at the end of the day. I just really love it.
Oh, that's so good. Something you no longer feel guilty about.
Being a little high maintenance.
Favorite way to rest now?
I really like going to a restorative yoga class once a week, which I used to think was a giant waste of time.
Oh, so good. One word for the mastermind.
Transformative.
Okay. That was really fun. I'm going to have to do a lightning round for every single interview. Super fun. Okay, Kelly, that was so helpful. I loved it so much. I want you guys to take away whatever you want to take away. But the things that I really like, if I had to distill it down, is number one, just start asking yourself what you want. What do I want? What feels good? What do I like? What do I want? And then number two, start scheduling just one tiny thing per week that fills your cup and hold the boundary no matter what. And then the last thing is number three, schedule time to schedule your fun and rest, because you'll do number two once and then you'll forget. So that's what I want you to do is every single day, you can write it on your family whiteboard. You can do it at dinner. You can do it in your journal. What do I want? You don't have to follow through on any of those things, but this is a way for you to start connecting with you. And then number two, schedule that in. And number three, have a recurring task on your calendar that says schedule rest, pleasure, or fun for this week. It's just one tiny thing. And then really celebrate yourself when you do it. Okay, Kelly, is there anything else that we need to say before we end?
I think I would just say this work is just so worth it. It's not frivolous. It's not selfish. It matters.
Yes, those are the perfect closing remarks, Kelly. But I really agree. It's not frivolous. And you have to take that leap of faith in order to really see the impact and the ROI, but it's so worth it. So if you guys are intrigued and you want to come in, the last day to sign up is March 4th. And we are going to be together for 4+ months. We're going to have a retreat. So if you really want to create one big dream, but also be obsessed with your day-to-day life, this might be for you. So email me if you're interested and we'll set up a call, laura@lauraconley.com, or you can check out our website for it in the show notes. So thanks again, Kelly. I love you guys all. I hope you guys all have the best week ever. Ciao, ciao.